Hello, I'm Nono, and today we're going to be making an elderflower mead.
And hi, I'm Charles, and welcome to DIY Fermentation, your site for doing fermentation on a shoestring budget. Okay, before we begin, I want to give a special shout out to a new member, Dean. Thank you very much for helping support this channel. Again, memberships are a way to help support this channel, and I look forward to seeing more of you there. Now then, let's begin.
To make elderflower mead, we'll be using the following ingredients: dried elderflower, honey, red Star Premiere Blanc yeast, the juice of 1 lemon, the juice of 1 orange, a scale, straining bag.
And on the back row, we'll be using enough water to give us 1 gallon or 4 liters, depending on how you feel about it. We'll need something to do primary fermentation in, preferably something with a wide mouth opening. We'll need something to do secondary fermentation in. Your liquid stopper is going to come in handy. We are also going to need, later on, if you want to know how much alcohol you're going to be making, a hydrometer. And of course, we've made sure that everything has been sanitized beforehand in terms of our glassware and utensils I'm using Star Sands. If you're using One Step or any of the other sanitizers of choice, please feel free. And that's what we're going to be making to make this wine.
We are going to measure out 30 grams of elderflower, dried elderflower. We're going to use a scale, even though he never does.
Now, the reason why she's putting that into a measuring cup is because for those of us who don't have scales, and all we've got are measuring cups, we'll at least have an idea of just how much 30 grams is in a measured cup.
And 30 grams. There we are.
All right, so what is 30 grams in a cup? 30 grams in a cup is about, it's like two-thirds of a cup. All right, we're going to transfer that. We're going to have Nono put that in a straining bag. Hold on. As I recall from the elderberry wine makings, having a plate underneath the straining bag is probably going to be pretty helpful.
Especially for me. There we are.
And if you'll go ahead and tie that off.
There we go.
And next thing we need to do is we need to put that into boiling water. We're going to make kind of a elderflower tea.
We've put on 2 quarts of water to boil. And we're going to add our elderflower packet and let that steep for about 10 minutes. We'll add enough water to bring that up to the 2-liter point after we, or 4-liter point, after we let it steep, and add the honey. Now that our boiled elderflower has cooled down to almost, well, not quite room temperature, it's still a little warm.
Nah, it's hot. Okay. So it's steam wafting up. That's hot.
We're going to add about 3 pounds of honey. Okay, let's get all of that out of there. And we're going to add a little bit of that water to loosen up the rest of that honey and get it all out of the jar.
Doggone right. You realize how expensive this honey was? I ain't gonna give you a little drop of honey out of this jar.
So,
now with that, and we are going to rinse this jar out and add this honey to it. We're going to let this honey sweetened elderflower mixture come down to where it is warm, just a bit lukewarm. I think will be the temperature that we'll use. Then we'll go ahead and add our remaining water to make sure that we have at least 1 gallon. And then we'll transfer that into our fermenter. So what we'll do now is just let this cool down.
now it's time to add the lemon and orange juice. We're adding the juice of 1 whole orange. So we'll cut that up, making sure that I don't cut off my fingers. And get him in here.
All right. Now, some of you, if you prefer, you can use the orange peel instead. I'm sorry, the orange zest. I just happen to prefer using the juice of the orange. Now, our lemon is acting as our citrus blend substitute. And I usually use half a lemon for that. With that having been said, the next thing we need to do is to go ahead and add those to our Elderflower Mead-ish mixture.
Do we add the pulp too?
You can, because this will actually get left behind during the racking. I mean, don't make a conscious effort of putting the pulp in, but okay. We're going to add in some of the rest of our remaining water. We started with 2 quarts. I figured the honey was worth about 1 quart. And I'm going to add in a little bit more now to bring us up to our 4 quarts. And I'm going to stir this in, or have, stir this in. And then I want to take a hydrometer reading. Okay, our hydrometer reading came in at a respectable 1.108. Okay, now before adding in our yeast, we want to transfer our mixture into our primary fermenter. And if anyone has seen this, you know I have a fairly decent success rate of trying to get all of it in without spilling it all.
Very
Hey,
good.
one of my better efforts. All right. What we want to do now is that we want to go ahead and add our yeast. And before my assistant gets ahead of the action here, we're going to add 1/4 teaspoon of yeast. And in a moment, we'll see how that operation goes. Okay, it's now time to add the magic ingredient, which will turn our elderberry juice into wine. So we're just going to sprinkle in our yeast. There's no need to hydrate it, but if you want, hey, feel free. Other than that, that's all that's really required. We're going to put on our cap. Now, for those of you who don't have this particular brand of fermenter, this one does have a built-in airlock, which is what the little red dot's for. It also has a standard airlock that will fit in here as well, but I stopped using it because I really don't need to see, it in action to know that everything is working. All right, now that our creation has been labeled, we know that we are making an Elderflower Mead. We started it on this date, and our original gravity reading started at 1.108. So again, we're just going to let this do its thing in primary. Once a day, we're going to go ahead and give it a vigorous little stir for the next 3 days at least to incorporate some additional oxygen into the musk. After about, certainly no later than the 5th day, I usually don't aerate after the third day. We're just going to let it sit for the 5 to 7 days that we're going to let it sit in primary. We'll then rack it into our secondary container, and then once again, we'll let it ferment for the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then repeat the process of racking until the mead has gone clear. After about 6 months or so, if it clears anything like the elderflower wine, we'll just go ahead and bottle it, do a tasting at that point, and then we'll do a final tasting at the 1-year mark. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.